Rain pounded the slum as Kioma and Tunde burst out of their house, barefoot and gasping, chased by a thief's angry shouts, "I catch you, rats!" Their small hands clutched each other, slipping in mud, hearts racing like drums. Why were these children running through Abuja's dark alleys at midnight? What secret drove them from the safety of Mama Ngozi's roof into this stormy nightmare? Something had gone terribly wrong. And it all started with an old phone they couldn't put down. Before that night when fear chased them out of the house, let's step back to see how it all began. In a bustling slum in Abuja, Chioma and Tunde lived with their grandmother, Mama Ngozi. Chioma was 13, bold as a lion, always spinning ghost stories that left the neighborhood kids wide-eyed. Tunde, just 11, was quieter, trailing Chioma like her shadow. Small but clever, selling pure water under the hot sun to bring a few coins home. Mama Ngozi, she was old, her eyes half dim, but her voice still carried power when she prayed, calling on Jesus to shield her grandchildren from spirits roaming in the night. Their parents worked far away in Lagos, slaving in factories, sending money through their phones each month. But seeing them face to face, that was a rare blessing. They'd call once a week, asking, "How are you? Is school going well?" But they had no clue what was brewing in that little house where the roof leaked every time rain poured down. Most evenings, Kioma and Tunde would sit under the mango tree, sharing roasted yam Mama Ngozi had cooked, laughing a little. But something was stirring in their minds that no one could see. Mama Ngozi, too frail to keep a close watch, trusted they were good children, never suspecting trouble was waiting for its chance. Then one day, everything shifted. Tunde raced home, sweat dripping, his eyes shining like he'd won a prize. "Chioma, look what Jide gave me," he shouted, waving an old Nokia phone scratched from years of use. Jide, their big cousin who worked at a cyber cafe, had said, "Take this to play games, listen to music. It can even show you Nollywood films." Chioma grinned. "All right, let's try it out." They sat together, pressed the buttons, chuckling at a funny clip, but then Tunde's fingers slipped, opening something they weren't meant to find. Something that would drag them into a dark place they couldn't easily escape. Now we've come to the part where everything began to shift. That old Nokia phone Jide gave Tunde wasn't just a toy anymore. It became a key that unlocked a door they should have never opened. That first night, after Mama Ngozi had fallen asleep, Tunde crept over to Chioma's side and whispered, "Chioma, come see what I found. It's a big boy's secret, oh." Chioma, always hungry for something exciting, couldn't resist, so she followed him. They huddled under a thin blanket that smelled of starch from Mama's washing. Tunde pressed play, and the tiny screen lit up their faces. They saw something far from the Nollywood comedies they loved. Grown-ups with no clothes moving in strange ways, doing things that made Chioma frown. "Why are they acting like that?" she asked, her voice small, almost afraid of the answer. Tunde chuckled. "I don't know, but it's funny, isn't it? Doesn't it tickle your eyes?" Chioma shook her head, but her gaze stayed glued to that phone. Something inside her stirred, like the hunger you feel when you smell jollof rice cooking. But no, it's not for you. From that night, they couldn't stop. Whenever Mama Ngozi's eyes closed, they'd sneak back under that blanket, the phone's light flickering across their faces like a shadow with a mind of its own. At first, they laughed about it. "Look at this one, shouting like a goat," Tunde would say, and Chioma would cover her mouth, shaking with giggles. But little by little, the laughter faded into whispers, then into a heavy feeling that pressed on their chests. They didn't fully understand what they were watching, but it pulled them in, like a river dragging someone who can't swim. One night, Chioma asked, "Tunde, do you think this is good?" Tunde shrugged. "Nobody's catching us, so what's the trouble?" And that's how they convinced themselves it was fine, just a game the big people hid from children like them. But games don't stay games forever. One evening, after watching a video that made their eyes widen like saucers, Tunde leaned close, his voice trembling a little. What if we try it? Just a little, like how they do it. Chioma slapped his hand. Are you crazy? What if Mama hears, or the spirits come for us? Tunde laughed. Spirits don't bother with small things like this. It's just us. Nobody will know. Chioma wrestled with it in her mind. She knew it wasn't right, but that phone had hooked her like a fish on a line. She sighed. Okay, but only a little. And if I say stop, you stop. They waited until midnight, when Abuja was quiet and only crickets sang outside. In that dark corner where the goats slept by day, they tried what they'd seen. Clumsy, unsure, their hearts pounding like drums. But then, a floorboard creaked loud, and Mama Nguzi coughed from her room. They froze. The phone slipped, its screen still glowing like an eye watching them. "Who's there?" Mama shouted, her voice rough like she was chasing away a ghost. Chioma grabbed Tunde. "Hide it quick!" They shoved the phone under the mat, lay down fast pretending to sleep, but their breathing shook like leaves in a storm. The next morning, they didn't talk about it, but the way they looked at each other had changed. That night, they couldn't resist. They went back, tried again, and this time, they didn't stop when the floor creaked. Something had gripped them tight, something they couldn't shake off. They thought they were in control, but the truth was, that phone was controlling them now, and bigger trouble was waiting just around the corner, ready to leap out like a thief in the night. And now we've reached the moment when the shadows burst open, when everything Chioma and Tunde thought they could hide came crashing down like a thunderstorm over Abuja. By this time, that old Nokia phone had become their master, pulling them deeper into a game they couldn't control. It was a stormy night, rain beating down hard, the kind of night when even the bravest souls stay inside. Mama Ngozi was fast asleep, her snores mixing with the rumble outside, while Chioma and Tunde huddled in that dark corner where the goats slept by day. They'd gone back to trying what they'd seen, clumsy and nervous, their hearts pounding like talking drums at a village festival. The phone glowed beside them, casting light on their faces, a silent witness to their secret. But this time, they weren't alone. Trouble had been creeping closer, waiting for its chance, and it came in the form of Scorpion, a petty thief known in the slum for snatching anything he could sell. He'd slipped into the house, aiming for Mama Ngozi's savings jar tucked under her bed, when he heard their muffled voices. Scorpion froze, then banged on the wall, his voice cutting through the rain like a machete. "Who's there?" "I'll finish you," he roared. Chioma's breath caught in her throat, and she whispered, "Tunde, run!" They bolted up, panic swallowing them whole, but in the rush, the phone slipped from Tunde's hand, hitting the floor with a thud. They didn't stop to grab it. Scorpion was already charging toward the sound, his boots splashing through puddles inside the leaking house. Out they went, barefoot into the night, running through narrow alleys where trash heaps loomed like ghosts. The rain soaked them through, their feet slipping in mud, dogs barking as they passed. Scorpion was fast, shouting curses that echoed over the storm. "I'll catch you, small rats!" Chioma pulled Tunde behind a broken cart just as Scorpion's shadow loomed close. They held their breath, hearts hammering, until his footsteps faded into the downpour. They'd escaped, but the phone, their dangerous treasure, was gone, now in the hands of a man who lived for trouble. The next day, the sun was barely up when Scorpion found Tunde at the market, hawking his pure water. The thief smirked, holding up the Nokia like a prize. "Recognize this?" he said, his voice low and sharp. Tunde's stomach dropped. Scorpion had seen everything on it, but worse, he'd found something they didn't even know was there. In their fumbling that night, they'd accidentally recorded themselves, a shaky clip of their secret game, and Scorpion had it now. 20,000 naira, he growled, or this video goes on WhatsApp. Your whole family will be the talk of Abuja. Finished. Tunde stammered. "Please, we don't have that kind of money." but Scorpion just laughed. Then you better find it quick, or shame go follow Una like shadow. Chioma overheard, rushing over, her eyes wide with fear. What do we do? She whispered to Tund. He can't show that. Everybody will know. The market buzzed around them, hawkers shouting, but all they could hear was the pounding of their own terror. Word spread fast in that tight slum. Neighbors started whispering, "Something's wrong with Ngozi's grandkids." Oh, Mama Ngozi felt it too, her prayers growing louder that morning, her old hands clutching her Bible like it could chase away the heaviness in the air. She called out, "Chioma, Tunde, come here." What's this I'm hearing? But they couldn't face her, their tongues tied with guilt. Scorpion wasn't just any thief. He was cunning, the kind of man who'd squeeze every drop of profit from misfortune. He sent a message through a street boy. "Time's ticking. Pay by tomorrow or the video flies." Chioma's mind raced. She'd heard stories of girls shamed out of town, families disgraced beyond repair. "We're finished," she told Tundi, tears brimming. "Not yet," he said, voice shaking. "We have to tell Mama." But before they could, the whispers grew into a storm of their own. Church ladies eyeing them at the well, boys snickering by the roadside. The secret they'd buried was clawing its way out, and Scorpion was holding the shovel, ready to bury them with it. With Scorpion's threat pressing down like a heavy rain cloud, Chioma and Tunde knew they couldn't escape the trouble any longer. The whispers in the slum had turned into a loud buzz, neighbors casting suspicious glances, and Mama Ngozi's prayers growing stronger, filling the house with a tension they couldn't shake. That evening, as the sun sank below Abuja's skyline, Chioma pulled Tunde aside under the mango tree, her voice tight with fear. "We can't keep this buried," she said. "Scorpion will destroy us, our name, our family, all of it." Tunde twisted his hands, nodding slowly. "But how do we tell Mama?" he asked. "She'll be so angry she might chase us out." Chioma steadied herself. "It's better she hears it from us than from the gossip on the street." They waited until darkness settled, each step toward Mama Ngozi's room feeling like a march to face judgment. Mama Ngozi sat waiting, her Bible open, her sharp eyes piercing despite their dimness. "What's this heaviness I'm sensing?" she demanded, her tone firm like a traitor guarding her stall. "Sit and speak now." Chioma's legs trembled, but she began, "Mama, it's about the phone Jaide gave Tunde. We found something bad on it, and Scorpion caught us." Tunde jumped in, his voice shaky. "He's got a video, Mama. He says he'll show everyone unless we pay 20,000 naira. Mama Ngozi's face hardened, her grip tightening on her Bible. "What kind of bad thing?" she pressed. Chioma whispered, "We saw grown-ups doing things we shouldn't have, and we tried it too. Scorpion has proof." Mama Ngozi gasped, "Lord have mercy. You brought this disgrace into my house?" But then her anger softened. "Why didn't you come to me sooner?" she asked, her voice cracking with pain. Mama Ngozi rose, frail yet fierce, clutching her stick. "This Scorpion won't ruin my blood," she vowed. "We're calling your parents tonight." She sent a boy to the call center, and soon Chioma's father and Tunde's mother arrived from Lagos, weary from the journey. "What's this trouble about a video?" her father growled. Tunde's mother clutched her wrapper. "My son, what have you done?" Mama Ngozi hushed them and laid out the truth. Every confession, every tear. The parents' faces fell, anger turning to sorrow. Chioma's father grabbed the broken phone she recovered earlier and smashed it again. "This is what I've been sweating for in Lagos?" Tunde's mother wept. "My children, why wasn't I here?" They didn't stop there. Chioma's father gathered the vigilantes and they cornered Scorpion at the market. "You think you can shame my family?" he thundered. Scorpion sneered, "Pay me or the video spreads." But the vigilantes dragged him to the police, who locked him up for blackmail. Mama Ngozi faced the neighbors, holding the phone's pieces high. See this? Oh, it nearly swallowed my grandkids. Watch your own before trouble catches them. The crowd nodded, the storm finally breaking. As Scorpion's arrest brought calm back to the Abuja slum, a fresh dawn rose, the air lighter, though the scars lingered. Chioma and Tunde sat under the mango tree, munching roasted corn from Mama Ngozi's hands, their laughter returning, soft but steady. The phone was gone, its pieces swept away, breaking the hold of their secret. Mama Ngozi stood at her door, Bible in hand, her prayers now woven with gratitude. Chioma's father kept his promise, swapping Lagos for a mechanic job nearby, his voice firm yet warm. No more leaving my girl to face trouble alone. Tunde's mother held her son close, whispering, "We'll walk this road together now, oh." The vigilantes had silenced Scorpion's threats, and the neighbors' chatter turned to nods of understanding. Watch your young ones well. This tale carries a warning loud as a village drum. Parents, you must guide your children. Teach them to use technology safely, for a lapse in care can unleash troubles too big to foresee. Wounds to their minds, dangers from outsiders like Scorpion. A phone in small hands can twist from blessing to curse without your eyes on it. I believe the right age for a child to hold one is around 13 to 15, when they start secondary school and need it for learning or calling home. But even then, watch them close, set clear rules. Don't let it run wild. What do you think? When's the right time for your own? Share your mind below with Baobab African Tales. Drop a comment, like this story, spread it far, and subscribe for more tales that stir the soul. The next one's waiting.